may not be OB, but one thing about Winston, he needs to be a politician or a preacher. But he'll make it in both cases. Oh, Danny boy, oh, Danny boy, I love you too. Yeah, I think I'm really right. You really can say it. I appreciate your work. That was very nice, and the Lord did move you in the right direction. And I'm appreciative of that. Thank you. Now we move to the part of the program where the friends have a few choice words, and our first friend that we're going to hear from is Mr. Eugene Kinlow Sr.
Good evening. Good evening. First of all, Vincent, I've got a bone to pick with you in terms of my placement on the program. This is a tough act to follow. We have to follow those two guys from the Social 20 Club. That's in my face. You can have the heart or balloon where our children went to school together. And I think OB and I just naturally became friends because we have so much in common. You know, we grew up in the same part of the country, kind of divided by a river. He grew up in the Delta of Mississippi, and I grew up in the Delta of Arkansas. And we both, and our wives, have 5 children each, both have 3 boys and 2 girls. They went to the same schools and the same community at the same time. So it's just kind of natural that we would have this affinity. And when I was telling that story about the initials, you know, that really resonates with me because I have a brother who's OB's age, and he has 2 initials. When he was born, they just called him ED. Like they call OB. I don't know. Maybe it had something to do with the depression. Boy, your name is OB, go for it. And OB did. Now, but the difference is I noticed that in my brother's case, as he got older and, you know, thought he was becoming somebody, he put words to the alphabet. And now he calls himself Ezra the West. Now, what I don't understand about OB, because I know when you were born, you didn't have a birth certificate. You probably got that about 18 years later. And you had all that time to make up a name. You know, you could have told your name anything you wanted to when you went out there to the Vital Statistics Bureau to get your birth certificate. You know, you could have told your first name was Ollie, Ossie, Oliver. And if you wanted to sound sophisticated, you could have said Olivia. All these options. You could have done a lot with, you know, you could have done a lot with E. You could have been Vincent if you wanted for you to get an son, but you could have been Victor. You know, you could have been SQC. Yeah, you could have birthed the hand, you could have been anything you wanted to be, but OB being who he is, you know, took his name, I think, kind of a challenge. I think OB likes challenges. And he took his name as something to live up to. And he has. Now, if you walk around Washington, D.C. today, I don't know of another person that I can think of who is known simply by 2 initials, and everybody knows who he's talking about. I don't know anybody else that you can say that about, except OB. You don't even have to say Johnson. You say OB. You say, oh yeah, I young lady in that town. And brought her to this town where she is still one of the prettiest ladies in this town. I like his style. I like it. I also like the fact that he was true to his roots. That for 38 years they have been man and wife, the two of them, raised in five children. So what I like about O.B. is that he has always been a leader by example. He has modeled behavior throughout this community. So when we talk about why did 3 boys, why did 5 children, first of all, go to college and complete? Why was he able to raise 3 boys successfully in a community that had all of these distractions and they still walked tall? That's because he and Dorothy walked tall. And we just, and he's a credit to the community. Always has been, and I think always will be. Now I know I'm supposed to keep it light and tell anecdotes and stuff, but I can't match these guys. But there is one little thing that I think about when I think about O.B. I felt bad O.B. for years. I was running for office once. I think it was about 1983, actually. I was running for re-election. And I had a little campaign office. You might remember O.B. on Portland Street. And O.B. was coming by to do some volunteer work in the campaign. And I don't know whether he was making a U-turn or what, but somebody hit it. And just totaled his car. I believe right there in front of the office, and I went down and I asked O.B. what happened, and he explained it. And I really did feel bad. Here this guy was coming to give, out of the spirit of community, good citizenship, volunteer, and in the process he loses his car. And I look back on that, that's about 12 years ago. Now that I look back on it, I think I did him a favor. That was an old regular car. That car was long overdue for a scrap. A little while later, I started driving a decent car. So I said, I don't know why I'm walking around feeling sad and apologetic. I did him a favor. But O.B. is good people, great people, and I really, it comes home to me, O.B., when I look at your Bible sketch in the program. And I don't know. It reads kind of like this. If you were to pick out just a few pronouns and verbs, it says O.B. with thorns. And it says O.B. Jones. That's the second paragraph. And then it says he worked. Then it says he invested. And then it says he served. And then it says O.B. was a founding member, founded something. And O.B. was devoted. And then it says O.B. married. And finally it says, and O.B. graduated. Now I think just those words in sequence is a powerful life story. Tonight we actually symbolically recognize the fact that you have graduated. That you have moved from a position of having to get up every day and put in 8 hours, that you have earned the right to do whatever it is you want to do whenever you want to do it. You have earned that right. So in closing, just let me say that O.B. in retirement, remember, as you've always known, that it's still about family, it's still about church, it's still about neighbor and neighborhood, it's still about communitarianism, it's still about compassion and good citizenship, it's still about vision that you have, it's still about leadership, and it's still about modeling that perfect behavior that I talked about for others. It's still about reaching back. And I hope that as you go forward to retirement, you'll always have a wind at your back and the sun in your face, and may God bless you.
Mr. Kinlow, you did just fine. Just fine. You have handled the responsibility. Absolutely. And the final friend we have on the program is Mr. Tony Saunders. Dr. Virginia Howard, is she here? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you come in. Dr. Howard had a class to teach this evening, and we were not sure that whether she would make it. So come on up, Dr. Howard. I'm sorry, I missed you.
Good evening to all of you. I want you to know that I don't tell jokes. They tell me I'm too serious. So what I have to say about OD is from the serious side. And as a professor at the university, I made me some notes to make sure that I don't leave anything out. I met O.B. Johnson around the same time that Eugene Kinlow met him. My children were at Hart Junior High, the best school in the city at that time. And from there, I think both of us were on the local school board. They had just started that entity, and we were part of the movers and shakers for that particular time. I feel pretty good about my friendship with O.B. because I know him from an academic serious side to a community excessively serious side to an economic development. We know that's the serious side because there was money involved in it. I'll start with economic development. O.B. was on the board of directors at East of the River Community Development Corps, and Tony's going to tell you some more about that. But O.B. always guarded the books. He made sure that everything was computerized and that we had a flow chart. He wanted to make sure that we kept the money intact and that things were balanced. And he really did that because he trained the comptroller over and over again, exercising his rights as a businessman to make sure that we made, I think, about $125,000 from Fannie Mae. That's the economic development side, guarding the money. From the community side, O.B. has always supported the children. I remember whenever we wanted circus tickets, ice capade tickets, basketball tickets, you name it, O.B. found that for us. Now, I don't mean just for Elmira Street Southeast, but I mean for all of Ward 8. He found that money for those tickets for us. And he guarded, in the community, he guarded the office. You know the ANC office? Where we got all of the tickets and all of the, I could type sometimes. He was very close to guarding that. I asked O.B., may I use the typewriter? I don't have one right now. And he said, well, gotta find keys. You see, he's telling me, well, I don't know if you can use it or not. But finally, he made up his mind that he would let me use the typewriter and the Xerox machine, and I did over and over again. But he really guarded that building. From the academic side, O.B. graduated from the University of the District of Columbia. He loved the university. He was one of the individuals who would see to it that the students at the university got scholarships. You didn't know this, did you? Through the ANC office. And he would come to the university and present those scholarships to the students. We were very proud of that because, as you know, it's hard to get scholarship money. Now, when you have someone as rich as O.B. Roloff, you can get it. But O.B. would help us in that support, or give us that support. He also, well, we were pretty poor up there in our department. So one Christmas we decided, well, let's have some camaraderie and charity and things of that nature. And O.B. helped us get some money for our Christmas party. You remember O.B.? And the faculty there were so excited because that's the first time we ever got any money from anybody for Christmas. And so it was a merry time there at the university, and we surely thank him for that. At the university, he wanted to keep things moving smoothly. And here again, he guarded the dollars and guarded the cents. But yet he saw, through his open heart, a way of getting some funds for us. OB, as I said earlier, I don't tell jokes. The only one I know is, what is this? And you look, I don't know. I don't know either, but here it comes again. And that's the kind of movement and expediency and support that we don't, that we know we got from OB. I want to say that OB is sincere. He's honest. He's a workaholic. He's a promoter. He's a change agent. He is a friend indeed. And what comes from OB comes from the heart. God bless you and your family.
Thank you, Dr. Howard. I'm so glad you weren't bashful and didn't just sit back and let me pass you by, so I appreciate that. All right. And now to our last friend who's on the program, Mr. Tony Saunders.
Let me say, first of all, good afternoon, and this is
Evening.
I done started off wrong already. Good evening. This is a wonderful night. I'm real happy to be here. I, too, am not pleased with my placement on the agenda, but I'm going to try and work with it. What I'm going to try and do is give you a bit of information about Mr. Johnson, Mr. O.B. Johnson. I'm going to even share with you some secrets. Very few of you know that I'm the Mr. O.B. Johnson in training. And hence, he has talked with me many nights, late at night, trying to train me on what a new O.B. Johnson will do. But like a good magician, magicians don't tell all the secrets. They tell a few of them just to whet your appetite. I want to tell you 3 about O.B. Johnson and how he decides to make decisions on certain things. I'm also going to share with you a different perspective about what an O.B. Johnson type of person is to young people in the community in Southeastern and Ward 8. A lot of the perspectives that you've heard before me have pertained to O.B. being a friend, O.B. being a peer, O.B. being a co-worker. But very seldom do you get an opportunity to hear about what a person who is quote-unquote up there, or who is a parent, or who is a role model looks like to a person who's kind of down there. So I'm going to share with you some of those items. I'm not going to be long either. I won't do a whole lot, but the best speech is a short one. So, and we've got still a long program here. Yeah, I got that. Well, that's the 4th secret I'm going to share with you. So I'm going to take my time. First of all, I'd like to say that I met Mr. Johnson kind of when I was about 7 or 8 years old. I grew up 2 streets away from the Johnson family on Southern Avenue. And you guys have heard a great deal about his 3 sons, but I want to let you know that O.B. raised 2 of the prettiest girls in Southeast. I'm not going to say which one I had a crush on first. It begins with an S, and then it was M, and then we switched back and forth. But Mr. Johnson protected those girls. The Johnson girls were girls you could only truly see from afar. And the closest I got to the Johnson girls, I could stand in the alley and see them on the porch. But I could never get closer. Mr. Johnson, also, very few people know that Vincent was probably, he holds the award for being probably the smartest kid that ever grew up in Southeast. He was the first person I ever heard that went to Harvard. I was standing in the alley, and the dude said, "That Vincent goes to Harvard." I said, "Where?" He said, "Harvard." I said, "That's on Georgia Avenue." I later found out Harvard is not on Georgia Avenue in Washington, D.C. But Mr. Johnson really held himself and his family up on a pedestal. And a lot of folks talk about I'm a role model and family values and stuff like this. But from my experiences growing up, O.B. Johnson and his family, they were role models because, mind you, I was a little kid in the alley playing. I did a lot of things in Southeast in the alley, but there wasn't much recreation. So the alley was the basketball court, the football court, and everything. The first experience that I had with organized sports here in Southeast was ironically an experience that was also sheltered by Mr. O.B. Johnson. Very few people know that he was one of the first coaches for the baseball team of St. Thomas More. And also that he was one of the founders of the Boy Scouts in Southeast. So, those were continuous experiences. And here was a man who consistently gave back. He held himself, he never made grand speeches. And he did make some grand speeches. But about some of the important things, he really was an example. A lot of folks, you growing up in the neighborhood, they said one thing, but they did another. He was a man who walked the walk and talked the talk. And that was a tremendous role model and a tremendous experience, and a guy who I later found out that I really would like to emulate. That was, something that was very, very important. I want to move on and talk to you about East of the River Community Development Corporation. That's an organization that up until a year ago I was executive director, and we had East of the River holding company. I was the president of that. Mr. Johnson was the treasurer of both the holding company and the Community Development Corporation, and he was a fine treasurer. He did things that were untraditional. Mr. Johnson was a guy who you could call and say that, well, I know what the books say, things ain't quite going as well, And he said, well, Tony, let's talk about it. Very few of you know that he's also, besides being a military scientist, a logistics expert, an intelligent, fortified phenomenon. He is a capable businessman. And he will tell you in a minute that he got a degree from UDC. However, what few of you will know is that he went to night school for 11 years while he put his other kids through college. And I think and so he would from time to time tell me about his experiences in the Air Force when he was in charge of a worldwide network of millions of military equipment and resources, and how he was a command sergeant, and how he had this notebook. Now, this notebook was special to me because, you see, whenever something went on, there were a lot of, we did real estate development projects, we built houses, we started businesses, and whenever there was a problem, he said, Tony, let me see your notebook. Well, at first I used to think, well, he's just old folks got computers. I had a laptop computer. And I said, well, Mr. Johnson, and after working with him for about a year, I had me a notebook. I had me a notebook, and he impressed upon me certain basic principles that pertain to business and integrity that will carry me for the rest of my life. And you know what? He would just tell me from time to time, he'd tell me stories. Oh, he'd tell me a lot of stories. we would go to lunch. We eat at some of the finest restaurants. He would tell me stories, and I tell you, I'll just tell you a couple of those stories. And the stories have to do with business principles at the end. He says, listen, one day we had a meeting with a Fortune 500 company with Fannie Mae. They were considering loaning us some money to do a development, which we at Fannie Mae downtown on Connecticut Avenue. They had a conference room a conference room table as big as this room. We were sitting around here, all these highfalutin people, and I was giving my spiel. And Mr. Johnson was there, Dr. Howard was on one side of me, and I was feeling real good. It was going well. And so then at the end of the meeting, the folks who ran the station got the money. Okay? At the end of the meeting, Mr. Johnson said, I got one more thing to say. I think what our executive director left out, and he went on. And sure enough, those folks said, you got the money, you got some more. Get on out of here. That is the kind of spirit. He has always said, go with a gusto, challenge yourself, challenge your abilities. And I can see some of the basic principles he brought his children up with. He said, just don't accept the norm. Try to achieve much more. When you think you got this in your hand, shoot for this. And those things are really, really important. He also, I tell you the secret about the cars. Very few people know why O.P. Johnson has so many cars. You want me to tell Jamal knows why. His son knows why. The key, and you should remember this, is he almost has a cop every day of the week. And they line the street, and on one side of the street, there's where all the cars live. And so he's got this one special small one. It's a white one. It's a Ford car. And so Mr. Johnson kind of big. And we stuffing ourselves into the car. I don't know if you see the British cars in Europe where they are very, very small. He's got one of those. And so we go downtown and we have a great time. But I said, Mr. Johnson, why do you have so many cars? And he said, well, you know what, Tony? Very few people know this. That's how I put all my kids in cars. He said, I don't buy no new car. I invest my money in my children. And, I sat there and I said, that's pretty smart. And he said, yeah, that's exactly what I do. I invest my money in my children. So that's one secret. The second secret is, why does he go to sleep in the middle of conversation? The answer to that is, he don't go to sleep at night. If you know Mr. Johnson, he will call you at 12 o'clock. Say, I was thinking about something. And then at 8 o'clock in the morning, he'd come to the office and sit down and go to sleep. Right in front of you. So that's the second secret. Yeah. One more secret. Okay.
I timed it one night, 11:30 they started. At 2:30 in the morning, I got up to go feed the baby. They were still on
Okay, now, thank you, that's my wife. Give her a round of applause. The third secret is that every problem in this world can be resolved. And when you run into a problem that you don't immediately know the answer to, what you can do is take an OB's position. And an OB's position is, I said, Mr. Johnson, what we gonna do? He said, we're gonna slow walk it down. Now, I know a number of you have heard that statement. We're gonna slow walk it down. I said, what's that mean? And I've come to learn that slow walking it down means being true to the task, being true to yourself and your values, and moving forward and just sticking to the grind and making it happen. And that's truly the type of experience, the type of person Mr. Johnson is to me. And I really feel that I don't know what else I can say other than he's just a business-minded individual, a mentor, and a type of person I would really like to grow up to be like. Thank you very much.
Tony, I don't think you're still in training. I think you're about training. Yeah, thank you very much. And in fact, that provides the perfect segue to the other family members. So that was perfect. Absolutely. And we as the children have a couple of words we want to share, and a lot of it will be lighthearted, and we'll have each one of us come up and speak. First one is Jamon. He's the youngest.
Good evening, everyone. I want to reiterate what everybody else said. I too don't like my place in this program. Trying to model good acts. As you all know, my father's the main talker in our family. But before I tell my little story, I just want to give my father a tool that he utilized very much in our household, that he fixed things around the house with. I know you got a lot of fixing up to do now. Well, my story deals with, since it's basketball time, I just remember a little story. When I used to play football in Air Force Base, I was about 8 years old, and as everyone alluded to, we have a couple of old cars. And one car is a 1969, I don't know what kind of car it is today, but we call it the green machine, the monster. Well, my father took me to my game to meet my coach, my teammates, and the monster. But what's so particular about the monster was the gas gauge didn't work. And so what you had to do is when you get some gas, you have to write down the miles on a pad in the car. So we get to the both on Air Force Base, and we have the meeting. My coach is telling everybody what we're going to do. He's playing at Andrews Air Force Base. And my coach didn't have a car. People, the car pulling over to Andrews. So my coach said, who will give me a ride? So naturally, my father, when he got a hard person, said, I'll give you a ride. And so, just on our way to Andrews Air Force Base, I said, Dad, you want to get some gas? He's like, no, I got the miles calculated. I know you're going to make it. I said, Dad, you going to get some gas? He said, no, I got it calculated. And as long as his speeches are, he drives kind of slow too, y'all know that. So we was the last one in the carpool. So on coaches, throwing chest passes. My father's like this. I flagged down cars to stop. And finally, one stopped and gave us a lift. Got a suit game just before the tip off. And needless to say, I got very little playing time that day. But I think it just sums up with my father. He was a very giving person, and he's very generous, and that's what he gives as much to the community as he does to his family. That makes him the man he is today, and I love him very much. And I just want to be half a father to my son as he was to me.
We're very proud of Jamon. He will graduate from Norfolk State on May 14th, 1995. Graduating on Mother's Day. And, one other note that you all probably already know is that I went to college in 1975. He's graduating in 1995. My parents have had someone in college for 20 straight years. Next one up is my next brother, Damaris.
Good evening, everyone. My name is once again, welcome to O.B. Johnson's Retirement Bros. I'd like to thank family and friends who came out this evening. As Vincent alluded to earlier, I am more child out of five, and I happen to be the one that they got creative with. And what I mean by that is that first of all, I was born in Kadena, Okinawa. So as a young child growing up, I had a lot of problems with kids Southeast. They thought I was a Chinaman. They say, "You're not from this country." They thought I was a legal alien, so I had a lot of explaining to do. Secondly, as you can tell, my name is Damaris. Now, the name is spelled D-E-M-E-R-S. No I's, no U's, no T's. That was the second problem I had growing up. I had a different name. The only good thing that came out of that name was that through my primary years through school, the teachers didn't know how to pronounce it. So I rarely got called in class. I kind of got through the primary years pretty easy until later on in the junior high school years, I started with my name DJ. That means something now. As I grew older, I asked my mother, why me? Vincent, Michelle, Sandy, Damaris. Where did that come from? And she said, I don't know, ask your father. The only thing I know is that it's a last name. I don't know if too many know that. It's actually a last name. And I think over in Okinawa, my father, I believe, played as well as coached a baseball team over there. And I believe it was a guy named Bill Dimmers. And for some odd reason, I'm still expecting an explanation how I got that name, Damaris. When I was told that we were supposed to speak this evening, I must say honestly, I was a little reluctant. I felt that this event should be for my father's peers and co-workers so that they could go back on their associations with my father and working with my father. But then I remembered that I also worked with my father, or I should say for my father. We had a lot of fixing up to do around the house, and he always worked on the cars. They have old cars. And I was his assistant most of the time. most of these projects we have to think. Now, I was in charge of some very important things. You know, I was assistant in training. I was learning, so I had a lot of experience working with my father. I was good at passing the Phillips screwdriver, passing the flathead screwdriver, passing the pliers, holding the flashlight at different angles when needed, and most importantly, stepping on the gas as he changed and maneuvered the engine in the car. So and I got a lot of experience out of that. I don't know if I can find a job with those kind of credentials, but I'm good at assisting. As everybody alluded to earlier, we have a lot of old cars, and I like to go back to when I was about 15 and a half years old and anticipating becoming 16, so I can get my driver's license. You know, that's the big thing, get your license, you want to drive. So I think everybody went to the school of O.B. Johnson driving class. Now, it wasn't too bad at the driving part, it was the parking part that you had to get down, because as you know, we had the 1972 gray Dodge Polaris. That's the car that you saw to get that accident. Okay, if you haven't seen this vehicle, it's about half a block long and about wide as a king-size bed. So if you were by yourself, you always ended up 2 feet away from the curb, so you always had to have somebody with you. And they had to act similar to air traffic control. You know, come back this way, cut the wheel a little bit, all right, or on the side, and then, you know, you can slide it in. And I too was excited, Mr. Kinlow, when, I was glad that my father was okay when he got in an accident, but I saw the car was totaled. But what you don't know is that just like the $6 million man got hurt, he can rebuild. That car is sitting out in front of the house today. Same color. The only thing I was replaced was an 8-track tape. Now, after I received my license, I think that was my junior year in high school at Purdue, I was ready to drive. So I said, my dad, I'll work hard, I'll do what I have to do to earn some money to buy a car. He said, I don't want you working, I want you to, keep your studies and get some good grades, and I'll get you a car. I said, okay, that's fair. So at the end of the school year, I said, hey, my grades are pretty decent. He says, okay, we'll work on getting you a car. So June came around, July came around, didn't have a car yet. I said, Dad, school's going to start pretty soon. I'm looking forward to having this car. He said, I got my eye on something special. So I was pretty excited. I thought he had, did some good research, and at that time, maybe I was just ready to drive a little Pinto or something like that. That wasn't too bad. We started hard, but that's right, something, 40 like that. But as my brother said, it's a 1969 green AMC Ambassador. When you pulled up in there, I said, no, kids not driving that car. I can't get more driving. So it's a year around, and I just refused to drive. October came, November came, and the temperature dropped. Got cold, and I either had to walk or catch the bus. So then I got the story where, I wasn't appreciative. He goes back to when he was a young boy, he had to get up at 4:30 in the morning, milk the cows, and, pull the car with, what was the name of that mule? Litter papers, and walk 5 miles, school. I said, well, you must be pretty tired trying to get an education back there. But things are different now. But I ended up driving. I could only start out driving one day a week until, I guess you had to get comfortable. We had a car at school, and I was pretty responsible. And I used to take the back roads to the beach. I couldn't let anybody see me pull up. So I knew all the back roads, and I had a nice little side spot that I used to park. I was a peer at school. But I played baseball in my junior year. We had a game to go to, and the coach asked the players, he said, does anyone have a car? I said, have a car, Mr. Hutchinson. Well, I had one, the bus broke down, we needed to get to the game before they So he says, well, how many players can you take? I said, I can take 9. So we started 9 players, got my car along with the equipment. And we headed on to the game, and the assistant coach came a little bit later, but I became the man after that. Got all the players in the car, and I started driving in front of the school a little bit more after that. Another story that I had, I'll close up after this one. I was in the senior year, and I was taking a Stanley Capital course, anticipating getting into college, and I used to, I think it's somewhere up on Connecticut Avenue, and with the green car, not anybody could drive the car. You have to know how to start it. Like the day you want to turn the key, the car starts up, but with my father's car, it was a method. You have to press on the gas once, press on the gas twice, then the third time you have to press on the gas and turn it. Now, if you did it wrong, it would flood. But then you would have to pop the hood either way and stick a pencil or whatever you had in the carburetor, and so it won't stick, and then it'll start up. But this particular day, I just couldn't get it to work. I called home, I said, Dad, I'm up here, I can't get the car to start. I have to come get it. He said, well, where are you? I gave him the address up on Connecticut Avenue. So he came and he tried to start the car, it didn't start. And I said, well, we need to call a tow truck now, right? He said, oh, no, I'm not calling a tow truck. So what happened was, he pulled up the gray car behind the green car, and he pushed me. Through Rock Creek Park. And if you're not familiar with Rock Creek Park, there's a winding road. All the way home. Now, the thing I was worried about was that my friends wouldn't see it. I used to hang out with my friends in the mailbox. We were in a little mailbox on the corner of Barnaby and Galveston Street. And we were hanging out there religiously, just, every evening. And I said, oh, please, Lord, don't let TV. Most embarrassing moment in my life. So we come around the corner, and I said, okay, there they are. I said, I can either do 2 things. A, duck, pretend that the car is steering itself, or B, like Richard Pryor said, that's that cool. I chose B, and I act cool, and I waved to his friends. The next day he said, was your father tailgating? I said, yeah. You ride pretty close there. I told him. Stay off the back. But I like to close by saying, now that you're in retirement, you can splurge a little bit, and I know you don't like car notes, but get you something nice. As a little token, I just have a 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner that you can get rid of the green car, the gray car, just look at this one.
his family, doesn't it? Definitely makes a man out of you, no question. And next we have my youngest sister, Sandra.
Good evening, everyone. I had no idea my two brothers were that funny, so I really have a hard act to follow. And as I've been sitting here all evening long, I've been fighting the butterflies, and they've been joking me on the end down here. You nervous yet? And I'm seeing them whip out all these little papers. I have no paper, and I'm thinking, what am I going to talk about? But just like them, I was reflecting back on some of my childhood experiences growing up in the Johnson household. And it's true what they say about hindsight being 20/20, because growing up as a daughter in the Johnson family, I learned many a lesson. I can remember being a teenager, and being a teenager, you want to go out with your friends, you want to go to a party, maybe you want to go to a concert, you want to hang out a little bit. Well, I can just remember asking my dad, Dad, can I go somewhere? Boy, my dad would ask you for the 411. I mean, you had to bring home who you were going with. Then you had to have their first name, their last name, their ages, their telephone numbers, where they lived, who the parents were, and then you had to tell them where you were going. He wanted the address of the place that you were going to, that telephone number, and then to make you feel good, he'd ask you, well, what time do you think you want to be home? So, I gave him all that information, gathered up my information, brought it to him. And I guess his way of finding out how important it was for you to go to this place, what he would do to you was give you this real early curfew. So I guess growing over the years and learning how my dad was, I learned that, well, if this is a place that I really, 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 really wanted to go to, I just stick with the early curfew, be grateful, and say no more. However, if I thought I wanted to take a chance, I think about it, and every day I work on them. And I worked on them so much that I got him to extend that curfew on a few of those occasions. But then there were even times when I can remember that gathering up all that information really wasn't worth the trouble. So half the time he didn't even know I wanted to go out because I never asked him. But I also remember too, I think the American mentioned some of the work ethics that my dad instilled in us early on. And I think about the age of 11, I was hired as a part-time dishwasher in my household. And I think I shared that job with my sister and maybe from time to time, one or two of my brothers. And after I got some on-the-job training, got real good at it, my job description grew. I had to vacuum, I think I had to dust the furniture, and if you've ever been over to our house, you know how much wood